Thank you again. Let's begin with our question and answer session. Dr. Briscoe, all your global megatrends are impressive. Can you elaborate on the changes in global investment for innovation as related to US and Europe?
Sure. Innovation spending in the U.S. has held relatively steady as a share of global innovation spending, despite increases in the amount of R&D that U.S. firms conduct in Asia. This is due in part to companies from other countries increasing their R&D activity in the United States. In particular, Silicon Valley has been a powerful draw. Creative and innovative firms from around the world want to be located at the center of U.S.'s innovation. Innovation spending in Europe, in contrast, has grown more modestly and unevenly, with some countries, such as France and the UK, showing net decreases in domestic R&D spending in recent years.
Can you summarize how an organization or community can build an effective digital strategy under disruption?
Building a digital culture aims to answer a simple question. How can organizations succeed when the environment they operate in is changing so quickly? The last thing businesses need today is a digital strategy. Instead, their strategy needs to fit their fast-changing digital world, where businesses have more data than they know what to do with, a media landscape that has exploded in size and complexity, the risk of a new disruption around every corner, and only one certainty: that this change won't let up.
Thank you. I have another question. What did the Swedish scientist Hans Rosling think of the role of the private sector in understanding and helping with extreme global poverty?
Well, Dr. Rosling said that in addition to governments and aid agencies, the private sector also needs to understand the economic and political conditions of current and potential markets. Indeed, he found that business leaders often had a better fact-based worldview than activists and university professors. They have a lot to gain from fighting poverty in any way or form.
Thank you. Another question. Given your ample research, practice, and travel around the world, would you say world dynamics are getting more or less intense?
Well, I would say more. Certainly world dynamics are as intense as ever. England has voted to leave the European Union. An estimated record number of over 64 million people were displaced and became refugees in 2016 or sought to emigrate to countries other than their homelands. The United States has a new president who seems to be primarily focused internally rather than externally, and the fastest supercomputer, for the first time, is located in China, outside of the United States.
Thank you for your response. Now our final questions. Are the disruptions we see today without precedent? Are they comparable, for example, to the disruption caused 200 years ago by the railroad?
The nature of our current disruptions is different, but the extent is maybe comparable to that caused by George Stephenson with the railroad in the early 1800s in England. His new technology created subsequent revolutions in commerce, city life, travel, and warfare. The world no longer moved at the clip-clop pace of the power of one horse, though the echoes of the earlier, more placid age continued to endure in the name we still use to measure motive power, i.e. horsepower. And the new forms of communication went beyond bringing the world closer in a physical and mental sense. But now ideas and relationships and news were within almost instantaneous reach, with all the benefits and costs that such connections entailed.